Viewers and subscribers, welcome back to Beating the Press podcast. I am your host, Rafa. Now, coming up in this evening's podcast, we're going to be looking ahead, previewing the big matchup coming up on the weekend. League leaders Liverpool takes on Arsenal. And of course, there's a big one, Chelsea versus Newcastle. Now, joining me this evening to preview these matches and to talk some EPL football, we have returning to the podcast, Speedy.
Big up everybody, glad to be here again.
We also have returning Christoph.
Good to be back, viewers.
Yes, indeed, gents. Yes, indeed. Welcome back to the podcast. And we're going to kick things off over there at the Emirates, Speedy. You're a long-time Liverpool fan.
Now,
Liverpool league leaders faces Arsenal. Talk to us about that game. What can we expect? What are you anticipating?
long time Liverpool fan, long time Arsenal daughter. Is it? I must say I'm expecting, based on the extenuating circumstances regarding injuries and whatnot, I'm expecting no less than 3 points. Liverpool have no choice but to go and win that game, in my opinion. Want to win the title, these are the games that you win. You see a team that is your rival, they're weakened, whether by fouls, whether by cards, whether by injuries, whatnot. This is the time to take the opportunities.
Mm.
Yeah,
Christoph, what
you have to
says
win that
you? I
game again.
mean, can Arsenal cope with these injury concerns? Suspension of a key centre back right there in the form of Saliba. Does Arsenal have the squad depth to cope?
Well, in terms of defense, I think Arsenal have the depth in defense at the moment to cope with the loss of Saliba. It's more a matter of how will that affect the chemistry of the back line and so on. Because I believe what will happen is that Ben White will probably slot in to fill that role of Saliba. And, before Saliba was partnering with Gabriel, it was Ben White who was there for a season, partnering with him. So I don't I don't know that it's going to be a huge miss. It's more to me the chemistry because we know Arsenal defend well as a unit and do well defensively.
Best centre back paired in the league, man. Come on, man. It's a big loss, man.
But I mean,
Uh,
Christoph, we do recall what I would say a couple of years ago when Saliba went down. That
It's a big
injury
loss,
pretty
man.
much derailed the Arsenal push.
Right, but that was, at the tail end of the season. Saliba is suspended for one game. I don't think it's going to be some walk in the park. Liverpool are going to come and tear Arsenal to shreds or anything like that. We know Arsenal is capable of defending and counter-attacking to win. And if necessary, they will defend out the entire game if they want.
Indeed, indeed. That is something the neutrals wouldn't want to see. The neutrals are expecting an end-to-end encounter, in all
No,
honesty. But
Arsenal does not play end-to-end football with anybody. Arsenal goes and plays their own game to win. You don't play on anybody else's terms. You play your game to your advantage within the rules of the game.
definitely. I mean, both teams would be looking to control possession then in the middle of the park, then Sleepy. What do you make of this Liverpool midfield trio, Sleepy? I mean, Liverpool did not make much signings during the summer, and the team that Slot inherited seemed to be getting the
Speedy,
job done.
speedy.
What says you?
Uh, could you repeat the question? You're breaking up a bit.
No, I'm saying the Liverpool midfield three. This should be a real midfield battle in both teams trying to win possession, maintain possession, dictate in the game. What you make of the Liverpool midfield three?
Well, in my opinion, I think that it's a dynamic midfield. I think that how they press, how they transition, how they hold up the ball, how they break out of tight areas is very good. I would have liked to see how they would have matched up against a full strength Arsenal team, with Odegaard and everybody there. I thought that would have possibly been a very interesting matchup. But as I said, not saying that it's supposed to be a walkover that Liverpool midfield to go there and dominate. If I'm supposed to go off how they've been performing this season so far
Yeah, it
with
should definitely be an
Odegaard
interesting
out
midfield battle.
and the
I mean,
yeah, definitely. I think that they should dominate this game in terms
yeah,
of
Liverpool
controlling the midfield.
coming off that win versus Chelsea, it was Curtis Jones who was the standout, I would say, midfielder in that one for Liverpool. But I'm not sure if he will start in this game. It might be McAllister back
Uh,
in the engine
that's
room.
a player that definitely splits opinions, but yes, he did have a really good game against Chelsea, and he can only get better from there.
Back over to you though, Christoph. I mean, Odegaard has been missing for a few weeks now, and obviously it doesn't seem to have hampered in any significant way the Arsenal progress. I mean, for this game in particular, though, Christoph, what says you? Can the Arsenal midfield three cope with this Liverpool midfield?
I think Arsenal will have a plan to deal with the Arsenal midfield. You know how that goes on the on game day is a different question, but definitely Arteta will have some plan in mind to neutralize Liverpool's playing. Um, I think, as I've always said, the most dangerous threat from Liverpool and against Arsenal when it comes to Liverpool for since his signing has been Mohamed Salah. So I think key interest will be taken there. Fortunately for Arsenal, and depending on how you look at it, Bukayo Saka will be back. Whether or not he starts, I don't know as yet.
What about that left side of the Arsenal defense there, though, Christoph? I mean, Cali Fury.
I think the left side of Arsenal defense has been solid. When Timber played there, and it has been solid with Calafiori plays there. I think we could probably expect to see Arteta springing some surprises in this game in terms of selection. While I would like to see, Enwari starting the game because I think he does provide good attacking and a creative outlet, for the youngster. He could potentially be that Odegaard replacement that you need right now for the creativity. While Arsenal has been, getting along and getting those results without Odegaard, it's clear that there is a spark missing, and that was very evident last week that Arsenal was missing that spark in the attack that Odegaard provided, and they probably need to be finding that button now. Like you like to say, law of averages. Arsenal has been winning games, and you expect Arsenal to win, but in my opinion, they have not been playing at the level that they are capable of, attacking wise at the moment. They're definitely missing that spark from Odegaard, and they were definitely missing Saka last week. But I don't know. I feel like Arteta might spring something crazy, like something I've been saying for a long time. But we might even see Zinchenko in midfield on the
Uh,
weekend.
yeah, it's possible. It's possible, or even Party at right back if your prediction is correct that Blaine Blanco will move infield to partner with
Uh,
Gabriel. Uh,
Definitely, that is definitely the backline I'm expecting to see. Partey, Ben White, Gabriel, and Calafiori.
oh, didn't Califury go down injured? It might be a case of Timber coming back in, or
Uh,
even
Cal
Zinchenko.
Calafiori will be fit.
Oh, Califury will be fit.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, we seem to have lost Speedy there, connection issues, it seems. But I mean, this should definitely be an interesting game in all honesty, and it's two teams which are vying for the trophy. But Speedy, I mean, in terms of your prediction for a scoreline, what says you?
Going 3-1 Liverpool.
Oh, 3-1 Liverpool.
Yes, that's correct.
What about you, Christoph? What says you? How do you see this one playing out, and what's your predicted scoreline?
At the moment, I am looking at a 2-2 draw, but I feel that both teams have it in them and have the firepower to potentially steal the win from each other. So it could go either way. Liverpool is coming in basically full strength, while Arsenal are missing a number of key players. But Arsenal is such a strong defensive unit, it could prove a difficult game for Liverpool.
I somewhat concur with that call, to be honest, Christoph. I am on the fence in this one, in all honesty.
Come on now, man. Yeah, what is that? Seven
Yeah,
wins from eight, man. Come on
yeah,
now,
but
man. Where's the
you know,
confidence? Where's the
I I I
confidence?
I
Call,
understand
call a win, man.
I understand the enthusiasm there,
Call a
Speedy,
win, man. Start
for sure,
enthusiasm. We're going by
but looking
the
at
row of the green. We have lost
yeah,
one
yeah,
game. We have
which is
conceded
right,
two
and
goals.
you have a right to be confident.
If there is no other time to be confident as a Liverpool fan, then I mean, I don't
Well,
know.
it's not a case where I'm not confident, but to me, and we've seen it in the past
All right,
where it's more of
not
a
not not
tactical
not
game.
not to take you off track, but if you are saying that you want to be title challengers and you are going to a weakened opponent and you are
Well,
saying
is Arsenal really weakened though? It,
that
I'm a
you
bit with
think that the
Christoph
best that
on
can
this.
happen
I'm not sure
is
if
a
Arsenal
draw,
is actually
is a
weakened.
draw.
If
What do
Arsenal
you
is
mean?
weakened, Arsenal is only
They lost
weakened going
their
forward.
best defender in the league.
Defensively,
Remember that
Arsenal
Saliba
has been
is the
better
so-called best
as
defender
a
in the league. You
result
know?
of losing attackers, so they have had to be more defensively sound.
Yeah, as I
Defensively
say,
sound, yeah. But I mean, if we watch the game midweek, by luck or by fortune, Shakhtar was running rings around a
So if you kind of go
lot
back
of
to
them.
the
So
last
I
two,
mean,
three
you're going up
seasons,
against
where
Salah, you're going up against Luis Diaz.
last
It's
last 2, 3 seasons, and even this season, Arsenal has not done well in these midweek games. Once there is a big match coming up on the weekend, they will not overexert themselves in these big matches, and they generally save their strength for the weekend.
yeah,
perhaps.
definitely that's a consideration. But as I said, I'm more leaning towards Christoph's overview, to be honest, Speedy. I'm not sure if Arsenal is actually weakened. Arsenal has definitely reinforced their
What do you mean you're
squad.
not sure? What do you mean?
No, as in the personnel has changed in our let's look at centre back, for example.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Saliba is leaps and bounds better than a Ben Blanco. He
What?
might be better, but it's not by a mile, is the point I'm making.
It is being said in many parts that this is the best centre back pairing in
They may be saying it. I'm not saying it.
the league, and that William Saliba is the best defender. And is the best defender not only in the league but possibly in the world. What are you talking about? That is a major miss. Major.
So do you
I
agree with that assessment, Speedy? Is Saliba the best defender in
I
the
do not
world?
agree with your assessment as a Liverpool fan saying that you're going in the game
No, I'm
considering
asking you
that
about
it's the
Saliba now. I'm asking you
no.
about Saliba.
I want you to stick your head out and say that you think that Liverpool
while
is
I
be confident in the
definitely
team, man.
agree that
Come on, man.
Saliba and Gabriel are one of the best centre back pairings
No,
in
no,
the
it was
world.
not said that they're one off. It was said
Uh,
that they're the best.
yeah, yeah, but what I'm saying is I agree that they are one of the best centre back pairings in world football, and definitely last season they were probably the best in the world.
Mm-hmm.
But since that pairing has come about, we have not seen a lot of rotation in the pairing, so we don't know if a Ben White and a Gabriel will produce better results, or a Gabriel and a Timber will produce better results.
But isn't it
That's
statistically proven that Gabriel tends to make a lot of mistakes when Saliba isn't there?
Gabriel makes a lot of mistakes regardless. And
Yeah, but
I wouldn't say a lot.
they're more costly when he's
So,
not there,
so,
I'd say.
a lot of people, I like Saliba, solid defender, world-class defender, but Saliba does also make a lot of mistakes. They're just not as punished, so to speak. he got a red card on the weekend. I said it was an offside. I reviewed it again, and I saw where it wasn't actually offside, like I said, because it was
Yeah,
Trossard that made that back
that's
pass.
right. Yeah,
Right, right.
Trossard was the one who played it
Um,
back,
so I have
even though
changed.
the player was in an offside position.
Right. So I've changed what I've said. Definitely a red card. However, it must be said that the exact same incident played out in the Liverpool game and it was not red. So
But
and
what
even some weeks earlier, Aston Villa
that
versus
incident was
Arsenal,
that? Could you remind me?
um
The red card incident, last man
Oh,
fouling the attacker.
oh, okay.
the same incident occurred in Liverpool versus Chelsea. Yellow card was given, and what the statement was by PG, Mgol, or whoever the hell they are, and them foolishness is that the player was too far from goal for it to be considered a clear goal scoring opportunity. So, um, I don't know how they come to that conclusion because the Arsenal one was further back, and if you go back some weeks. Uh, Almost the exact replica of that incident occurred Aston Villa versus Arsenal when Saka was taken down. No red card given, and that was even closer to goal. So the inconsistencies in the refereeing and then them trying to justify it is quite ridiculous, in my opinion. So yeah. While I agree the red card was definitely the right decision in this instance, there have been other instances of injustices being carried out, and then the referees afterward and the analysts and whoever justifying the decision and saying that they were correct when clearly they were not, to be honest. So,
Well,
um,
we can only hope that this game come Sunday won't be decided by the refs, but indeed it will be decided by the players on show and of course possibly the tactical approach by both coaches as well.
I mean, if I'm to lean into the conspiracies, I think there will be poor refereeing decisions
Well, let's not go there.
against both Arsenal and Liverpool because
Yeah,
We would hope not.
in,
We would
in
hope not.
in my opinion so far, all these refereeing inconsistencies have benefited Manchester City. We haven't seen any poor calls against them.
well, yeah, that's a possibility, but the season is still relatively young, so we'll see what transpire come end of season. But for me, as I said, if I was to call a winner, I would lean towards a Liverpool win. However, just based on how these
Oh,
big
so you're
teams
not
have
planning to
approached.
call a winner?
No, no, no. I'm saying tactically, based on how these big teams have approached these big games, they oftentimes end in a draw. So for me, my official call, Speedy, is a draw. I would say it's a scoring draw. I would go 1-1, because I think both coaches will approach this game very tactically. It will be a midfield battle, which I am anticipating, and each team will try to cancel each other out. I don't think Arsenal is significantly weakened by the injuries or absentees. The squad is deep, there is squad depth, and Liverpool isn't tearing up the match cards where they've been on a good win, but it's been a more of a defensive showcase than an offensive one, in my opinion. They're doing enough to
Don't you
win
think
games
that's a
by
bit harsh,
scoring,
though? Don't you
but
think
they're not
that's a harsh
letting in
take?
much at the back. So
I,
I'm not
I,
expecting the Arsenal goal to be breached on
yeah,
any sort of multiple occasion.
I,
I would say
I
they add goal here or there.
I agree with David that this Liverpool team has been solid and probably has been doing better than people expected at the start of the season. And you said not making a lot of signings. I think they've probably benefited from not making any real major signings in that this team is well gelled. They know each other. You're not waiting on anybody to kind of get up to speed in this team. But for me, the only downside I would say or negative of this Liverpool team is that they have not truly been tested by any opponent so far. So that's the only thing for me. Otherwise, I think this is a very good Liverpool
So
team.
this should be a good measuring test then, Christoph, versus Arsenal.
It will be a good test of their attacking prowess, I think. But I don't know how good of a test it will be against for them defensively. But we can always expect that Kai Havertz will be up to something and making a nuisance of himself against Virgil van Dijk.
Indeed, indeed. Big match up there, big match up there. But Speedy, we
Um,
have to move to the next game on the agenda.
yes,
We
sir, yes.
definitely have to keep the ball rolling. And the next big game we're going to be looking at is Chelsea versus Newcastle. Chelsea versus Newcastle. Of course, Chelsea coming off a defeat to Liverpool versus a Newcastle team which have gotten some results, but I wouldn't say they have been very convincing all season. Talk to us, Speedy. I'm going to bring you into this one. You saw Chelsea last week versus Liverpool. What can we expect this week versus Newcastle? Newcastle should be a easier opponent,
Um,
comparatively speaking, I would say.
well, one thing I'd say is I'd love to have that Chelsea bench. I mean, that team is packed with quality. Look at the age of the team overall, it's the youngest in the league. Versus Liverpool, who they played last week, was the fourth oldest team in the league. So I think this Chelsea team can only go from strength to strength. I think they have very exciting patterns of play. I think that they will definitely do too much for Newcastle, who has been, I don't want to say underwhelming, but it's in between. Like you expect them to do better, but you see them play, and you sometimes you see the players, and you're wondering, oh, were these players when they finished in the top four, were they playing out of their socks? Were they playing above their level, or is this what we should expect from Newcastle? And if I was a Newcastle fan and I got some of the richest Saudi owners and I was playing like this, I'd be pretty worried. So for me, I'm expecting nothing more than a Chelsea win. Newcastle have always been a defensive sub team, so I don't expect it to be a blowout. But I'm expecting Chelsea to go there and collect the 3 points relatively comfortably.
Definitely an interesting assessment there, Speedy. Chelsea is young, but there is potential, but I'm just not seeing that full potential from the players. The coach over the last couple of games definitely seem to have gotten to know his players better, and you see a more solid unit in terms of a consistent 11 now coming on the field of play. But they're coming into their own. As you say, it's an improving team. It's a team that can get better. Will they get better this season? That's yet to be seen. Do they have enough to get over one on this Newcastle team? Personally, I am not so sure. What says you though, Christoph? Can Chelsea win this game, or will Newcastle create an upset over the weekend?
Can Chelsea win this game? Yes. And that is mostly because, like we said, some weeks ago, I thought this Newcastle team was getting results that was beyond how they were playing, to be honest. And we saw that kind of come collapsing down on them in the most recent weeks. Chelsea, I also think has been good, but I think they've played above themselves in a number of games. They didn't play bad against Liverpool, to be fair. Liverpool just, better finishing on the day, in my opinion. Um, I think Chelsea have enough firepower in their team currently to get those results. Their attackers, the Nicholas Jacksons, have been finding their footing, finding their form in recent weeks. And we know as long as Cole Palmer is fit, then there is always a chance of goals from there. So I think not Newcastle, sorry. I think Chelsea has more in them and better performances in them than Newcastle. So I think Chelsea will come away with the win.
Would you say Chelsea also has better players than Newcastle currently?
Yes, currently. Um, Based on form, I would say Chelsea players are doing better. Like we said, Jackson, who couldn't score a goal to save his life last season, getting on the end of things and scoring goals this season. And, Cole Palmer is just picking up where he left off last season. So,
Definitely. These players have stepped up. Yeah, possibly the new manager has galvanized the team. I think he has definitely found an 11 that can get him some result. Personally, I'd love to see Neto in that starting 11, but it's the coach's call. Newcastle, on the other hand, they have been dealing with some injuries, especially in the attacking third. And I think that is one of the key reasons why they have fallen off somewhat in terms of their goal scoring prowess. Isak should be back for this one, and he could be a big threat up front against this fragile Chelsea defense, in all honesty. So for me personally, I am looking at a draw for this game. I think Eddie Howe will galvanize this Newcastle team and find some way to get a point out of this game. I'm still not fully convinced by this Chelsea team. I think they can be inconsistent at times. And I think this is one of those cases where coming off a loss versus Liverpool, Newcastle will galvanize and find some way to leave Stamford Bridge with a point. Speedy, what says you? You seem to be in disagreement with that assessment.
Uh, I must disagree wholeheartedly. I think that if I'm going by the how this coach operates, and I don't think that he's going to be settling for any form of draw after losing to Liverpool last week. Like, I just don't see that happening. And mentality that he has instilled in the players so far, I know that they're not going into that game wanting to draw or trying to draw or playing to a level that will earn them a draw. I think they will be going in for the kill. I think they will be going in for an improved performance upon last week. And I'm expecting them to be comfortable at home against a Newcastle side that's does not the dots does not in at all. So my opinion, I think that game will end either 2-0 or possibly 3-1 to Chelsea. And I'm expecting Cole Palmer to reappear this last week against, not the popular people's best defense in the world. Football lovers I know understand the best defense in the world currently. So yeah, I'm expecting Cole Palmer to return from hiding, and I'm expecting Chelsea to win the game.
Definitely. I mean, Liverpool currently has only conceded 3 goals, so it should be an easier game for the likes of Cole Palmer. I think probably Curtis Jones has returned him from his pocket back over there to Stamford
Indeed.
Bridge. So hopefully he has a comeback game versus Newcastle, but I'm still gonna back this Newcastle team to get
Yeah.
some result out there at Stamford Bridge. But Christoph, what says you? What's your call for this game? Who do you see winning this one?
Chelsea, I think Chelsea will win this 3-0.
3-0 to Chelsea. Indeed, indeed. Should be an interesting watch. But some quick fire calls for you, Christoph and Speedy. Just a quick result and maybe a comment here or there in terms of the other games which are on, because this is a full fixture
You
list,
know
so
what?
to speak.
We should start a results table. Have a weekly
Well,
results, and
that
somebody
that's
gets
that's definitely an idea. That's definitely an
uh,
idea, for sure. But of course, Speedy, we do have a match coming up on Friday, so the fixture list extends from Friday over to Sunday, and we have a big matchup on Friday afternoon. This one taking place between Leicester City and Nottingham Forest. What's your call for that game?
and so reminded me because I would not remember to set up my fantasy team. But Leicester Newcastle, where is it being played?
Oh, this one is being played at Leicester. Leicester versus Nottingham Forest.
I'll go for a 1-1 draw.
1-1 draw. Christoph, Aston Villa versus Bournemouth.
Um, I think Aston Villa win 2-1.
Aston Villa coming off their exploits in the Champions League, of course, leading that Champions League table. Kudos to
Quality,
Emery and of
quality coach.
course Leon Bailey over there getting a start in that game. But Speedy, Brentford versus Ipswich.
Um, well, I guess I think I'll go Brentford there.
Brentford to
I
win.
think they have a little bit more than Ipswich in terms of quality. Yes, so I'd say a Brentford 3-1 win.
Brentford 3-1 win. Christoph, Brighton versus Wolves.
I think Brighton win. Wolves hasn't won a game all season. I know
But
I
couldn't this
said that
be the game though, Christoph? The fixture is
um
now turning for Wolves.
it is definitely
One thing
turning
we
for
do know, it should
Wolves.
be a quality game though, definitely.
I know, yeah, it is a fixture that is potentially winnable, but Brighton is, fifth in the table, 15 points on the board. They've been playing relatively well last two games. They have 4 wins so far this season, and they did come from behind and beat Tottenham, I believe it was a couple weeks ago, right?
That's right.
Yeah,
They won that one 3-2.
3-2, right?
they
So
came from 2-0 down.
they beat Manchester United. So,
That's not
while
hard.
there have been a couple of blips, yeah, it's not hard to beat United. There was a blip against Chelsea. They drew with Arsenal, but the draw with Arsenal was due to a red card. But I think they probably have enough in the tank to get one over Wolves.
Indeed. Do you have a scoreline in mind?
I think this will be one of those tight games, potentially a 3-2.
3-2, both teams scoring there. Speedy, Man City versus Southampton. Is this a
5
routine win
0
for City?
Manchester City. 5-0 Manchester City.
5-0. Wow, that's a big score line there, Speedy. You sure you're not over? Remember, Haaland has been quiet of late. 5-0.
If you are, they won 5-0 in midweek. Playing, I saw them play. I think that Pep has a plan to utilize Matthias Nunes properly in that midfield. I think they look pretty dynamic in that game. And, looking at Southampton, they're bit 6 and 7s at the moment. So I'm expecting a comfortable win. Savina has been playing really well. So, yeah, 5-0 Man City.
Okay. Everton versus Fulham, Christoph.
At the moment, I am with Fulham. I think Fulham are the better team, so I'm going to go with Fulham 2-0.
Fulham 2-0.
I think so, yeah.
Crystal Palace versus Spurs. Speedy.
Where's that being played?
Crystal Palace. Selhurst Park.
Uh, you want to say that you think Tottenham will win, but
Well, I mean, Tottenham is one of the farm teams.
go on Tottenham. Go on
Crystal
Tottenham.
Palace bringing up the rear of the table, so to speak. So they should be favorites going into this one for sure.
Yeah, 2-1. I think 2-1 to Tottenham.
Who won to Tottenham? West Ham versus Manchester United, Christoph.
I want to say West Ham, but I feel like United will probably win this one. I think Ten Hag generally does well when his job is under fire.
For some odd reason, though, to be honest, Christoph, I think West Ham at home, I think they'll find an extra gear, to be honest.
I think
Uh,
it will be
I,
a difficult game, but I think
I don't think
United.
West Ham has a choice.
I
As
don't.
Lopetegui is under the bus, he has to win this game. He has to.
so both manager are under the bus then Speedy, but probably
No,
Lopetegui is in a
I think,
more
yeah, I think Ten Hag has a little more in the back, but
right.
Lopetegui has to win this game.
Yeah, he's probably under a little more pressure. Who needs some immediate
Or
relief
at least,
from that pressure.
or at least get a result. Yeah,
Okay.
because I think a draw would be good enough for them as well. So, yeah.
Mm. But you're calling a Man U win, Christoph.
Yep, I think United win this one.
I'm gonna My football instincts is telling me to call a West Ham win, so I'm gonna go with a West Ham win to be honest. Yeah, I'm gonna go with West Ham upsetting the apple cart in this one, in all honesty. But that was the last game on the agenda, gents. I mean, any final words? Speedy, we'll get your final thoughts on the games coming up this weekend.
I must say that I am a bit nervous about the Arsenal game.
But go, but
You
Speedy, you
you
were the
seem
one who
very
told me that
confident earlier.
Liverpool is on an
Oh,
unbeaten run.
the confidence
Yeah,
has
but
evaporated.
no, it's not that I am any less confident, but in
Well,
confidence you
you're
still
saying
have
you're
to be
nervous. I mean, this should
relaxed,
be an easy
relaxed.
3 point.
Hey, you
Listen,
made it sound
in
like a easy
confidence you
three
still have to have
points.
some level of realistic. I am saying, based on the circumstances, Liverpool has no choice but to go and win if they want to win the title, if they are serious about title challenges. I am, however, a slightly, nervous about the game as any.
We seem to have lost Speedy there, his connection seemed to have gone out. But Christoph, in the interim, any final thoughts from you?
Final thoughts, I want to see some good attacking football this weekend. I want to see some good refereeing, as always, my gripe, every week, the level of refereeing. But specifically for Arsenal, I want to see more attacking football from them. I want to see some more adventurous play, to be honest. I would like to say Inwar is starting, but th that might not happen in such a big game. So, maybe a game next week. As for Liverpool, you know, you Speedy was saying Liverpool is going to be challenging for the title, and I think they are. But honestly, I don't think that was a board expectation for this season at the beginning. But come December, you reevaluate. It could potentially be the expectation for the season.
Definitely. I mean, with the start that Liverpool has
I've
had, to
had,
be
yeah.
honest, it would be hard at this point to go back on your heels. But we'll definitely see what transpire. But there you have it. Viewers and subscribers, thank you again for tuning in to us here on Beating the Press podcast. We appreciate your support. We appreciate you taking the time out to be here with us. Of course, if you haven't subscribed as yet, hit that subscription bell. If you have subscribed and you're one of our regular viewers, you're one of our regular subscribers, then of course, leave your comment, give us your prediction, tell us what you think. Who do you think will win this weekend in that big matchup, Arsenal versus Liverpool? But until next time, this is Rafa signing off.